Jeff Moody, our Southwest reporter, is there for us. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. I suppose this was a pretty seismic result, the biggest swing of any by-election in living memory.
Yes, absolutely. Seismic is certainly the word. For any hyperbole you want to mention, unprecedented too. Whatever your political persuasion, whichever way you vote, there's no getting away from the fact that this is a catastrophic result for Boris Johnson. It's worth pointing out it's also a catastrophic result for Labour that came second last time around in 2019, and by my calculations it looks as though they've lost their deposit this time round. So it's a bad result for them too, worth pointing that out. There is going to be a victory parade in Tiverton in about an hour and a half's time, so do join us for that. Sir Ed Davey, the leader of the Lib Dems, is in town, along with Britain's newest MP, Richard Ford. They're going to be doing a victory lap along the High Street shortly. People today are waking up mainly jubilant. People have been talking to me saying, you know, it's long overdue, they're glad it's happened, they're glad they voted the way they do. But some people obviously disappointed with the result, feeling that it's not the result that they wanted to happen. But whatever your political persuasion, whatever your beliefs, you cannot take it away from Richard Ford that he's run a very good campaign. He's a popular man. He's lived locally for many years. He's a very personable man, a former army major, and he's had a lot of people that have never voted away from the Conservatives, never turned their back on the Conservatives, that have done that not just because of Neil Parish and the whole murky way that he resigned, watching pornography in the House of Commons, all of that, not just because of Partygate and all of the ramifications that have happened as a result of that, but also because of Richard Ford himself. People are saying that, you know, he's a breath of fresh air, he's new to politics, but he's got people's backs. And that's the sense here that I'm getting from talking to people on the street, that Richard Ford has got people's backs. Well, we're hoping to be able to catch up with him a little later on when they do this big victory tour of Tiverton and Honiton a bit later on this morning.
It's so interesting looking at the way that the Liberal Democrats really were so insurgent in this seat. Looking at the last two elections, general elections in 2019 and 2017, it was actually the Labour Party that came second in this seat. In your view, Jeff, did the Labour Party just sort of throw in the towel at the start of this campaign?
They're saying they didn't. Liz Pole was the candidate, and she's saying that she fought a good campaign, but I have to say, I haven't seen it. As a reporter, when you come into a town just before a by-election, you get a sense as soon as you swing into town of the way that it's going, just by looking at the sheer amount of posters around the place. And I found Liberal Democrat posters everywhere, Conservative posters in places, but I couldn't find a Labour one. And I believe me, I looked, for the sake of balance, I looked high and low, but I couldn't find one. So that does give you a bit of a sign. Also, I put in a bid to interview Liz Pole, and we were told, no, she's not available for interviews, which again says something else, the fact that she wasn't out there trying to get that message across. So yes, it does seem that they didn't take it seriously enough, and that they didn't put their big guns behind it. There's been no sign of Sir Keir Starmer here, but Sir Ed Davey has been here quite a lot over recent weeks. So yes, it does certainly looks on the outside as though they didn't fight a good campaign here.